surgery. Hello, and welcome to the live series Straight Off the Bat. Join us on Thursdays as we speak to individuals from multiple industries who will help you understand financial literacy and education. If you join us from Facebook, thank you so much. Don't forget to like and follow our page to stay updated with content that helps you manage your money. I'm your host, Pauline Joseph, and today we're discussing holiday scams exposed and how to stay safe in Trinidad and Tobago this Christmas. Today we're joined by our guest, Sherwin Forte. He's been with us before, but not to worry. We'll remind you where he's from. He is the manager of corporate security at Republic Bank Limited. He's a former fraud squad detective and has conducted numerous fraud investigations in Trinidad and Tobago and in other Caribbean islands over the past 20 years. So we're going to bring Sherwin in. He is also a sports fan. Unfortunately, he's an unhappy one, but that's okay. We are going to get straight into it. So, Sherwin, how are you today?
Hi, Pauline. Thank you for having me again. I am well, apart from the fact that you mentioned that I'm a sports fan, having to bear the sufferings of looking at Manchester United this season. I'm fine.
That is a struggle that a lot of people are facing, but that's okay. We're going to shift to another struggle that hopefully you can help us all with, which is it is Christmas season and there's so much happening. Santa is working his way through people's chimneys or doors, depending on where you live. But when it comes to the space that we're in online and treating online, we want to look at some of the trends that we need to look out for, because with all the chaos that's happening with the traffic and buying presents and making sure you're getting your bonus on time, what are some of the fraud trends that you think people should look out for when it comes to people targeting shoppers in Trinidad and Tobago?
Thanks very much for that question. It's an interesting one because when we talk about fraud trends over holiday seasons, traditionally we think about Christmas. But in Trinidad and Tobago, over the last few years, most people may have noticed, we are now becoming a little bit more Americanized, for want of a better description, where people are now celebrating things like Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So fraud typically happens. That season of fraud has expanded from that traditional Christmas time alone to now incorporating November, where we have these sales right up until probably the end of Easter, because the carnival season is also another season where we see peaks in fraud. But specifically to your question concerning what people can look for, there are three basic things that are very prevalent at present. One of them involves investment scams, where people continue to be duped by persons posing themselves as financial investors online, either through the sale of some type of investment or even through the sale of cryptocurrency. Secondly, people are falling prey to victims of loan scams, where they are being duped into believing that there are persons who can provide these financial services, these loan facilities for them online, and they are falling prey to that, giving away their hard-earned cash. And last but not least, the one that has caused us perhaps the most headache over this last financial year is account takeover fraud, which is part and parcel of, or the end result, I should say, of phishing, smishing, or vishing schemes, where persons have given away their credentials to bad actors who then take over their account and transfer funds out of their accounts. It has caused a lot of headaches for our customers as well as us in the financial institutions. And those are the trends that people can look forward to. Well, I shouldn't say look forward to, but they're there, and those are the ones that they need to be wary of.
Thank you for that. That's so interesting because you mentioned a few terminologies there. So we've spoken about this before, but we don't want to take for granted that people would have watched the shows. So you mentioned smishing, Can you share what that is, please? What does that mean?
Okay. So, Paul, I'll take you through the whole range. So, phishing, smishing, and vishing are various types of social engineering. To put us all on the same page, social engineering is what is referred to as the art and science of manipulation. And that is what sits at the heart of fraud. Fraudsters manipulate, they deceive. And some of the methods that they use, especially in the online space, especially with the use of modern day technology, involves using our email. We all use email. We are all online. So when they send fictitious email to you, pretending to be persons who can provide you with a loan, for instance, and they send you these fictitious email, and you click on these links that are within the body of these email, that is referred to as phishing. When they send messages to you via SMS messages, again, that is referred to as smishing. It's done using your phone because a lot of us, most of us, receive messages via WhatsApp or SMS messages. That is referred to as smishing. And last but not least, which seems to be on the increase these days, is something referred to as vishing, where they actually call you online and pretend to be your representatives at the financial institutions, claiming that they are investigators or that they are bank personnel. And unfortunately, a lot of our customers give away their information to these fraudsters.
That's such it's kind of a bit scary because we have the shift of cash, obviously, because we are cash heavy island. So for those who may be watching this thinking, oh my gosh, all these different things, what is the top piece of advice you'd give to someone who may be afraid of all this new information that's coming forward in this digital age?
Pauline, the best piece of advice I'd give to customers at this stage is to educate yourselves. I mean, we have a lot of information through the Bankers Association and through the various financial institutions where we seek to educate our customers, letting them know what is prevalent. The reality is, no matter whether it's cash or it doesn't matter whether it's online, bad actors are always prevalent. They are looking to seize your cash, your assets, anything of value that you own. So it's really about you being educated, you being aware, you taking responsibility for ensuring that your bank statements are up to date. Check online, right? You can go online at any point in time, check your bank account, make sure it's what you expect it to be. So it's all about your vigilance, your level of awareness, ensuring that you understand how these schemes work to keep yourself secure and safe. One thing I'd like to add as well, Pauline, you mentioned, we are operating in the online space, and that is true. But while we operate in the online space, we also need to be aware, as you mentioned, Trinidad and Tobago is a cash-intensive society still. I mean, we are transitioning towards digital platforms and using mobile and online banking, but we still depend heavily on cash. And it being the holiday season, we need to be aware of counterfeit currency. Whether that counterfeit currency is Trinidad and Tobago dollars or United States dollars, because we know that we do have a forex situation in Trinidad and Tobago, and a lot of persons are falling prey to persons who are selling them counterfeit currency. So those are also tips and things that you should be looking for those of you who are doing transactions in cash.
Let's expand on that a little bit, because I think this space, when we're gonna elaborate more on the digital side later, but the traditional side of the counterfeit, because going to the bank, you take out ATM, you get your money, you don't think about those things, because there's the consumer side and there's the business side, because I see businesses with these like UV lights to check to see, so as a consumer, what can we do to be more vigilant to prevent us falling for these schemes of counterfeit?
Okay, thanks again, Pauline. There's a lot of information, a wealth of information that is available on the central bank's website with respect to knowing your currency. So I would advise persons to visit that website and get familiar with your currency. If you know your currency, you know the look and feel of it, all right? The central bank gives a few tips in terms of looking for specific things, feeling the note itself, tilting the note, looking for those security features that are embedded within the note that sort of try to make them difficult to be replicated. If we know what those security features are, it makes us less likely to fall victim to when persons try to pass counterfeit currency. So it's really about knowing your currency and being familiar with those security features.
Wow, it sounds like either way, digital or cash, we still have to be vigilant when it comes to fraud.
Absolutely, absolutely. My mantra has always been we live in a physical world and we are often told to be aware of our surroundings when we venture out. And I tell people the same thing in the digital space. You need to be aware of your surroundings, what is happening in the digital space.
And going back to the digital space, especially when we have social media websites like Instagram, where it's becoming increasingly easier to just click buy now without having to check to see, where it's coming from. And it's easy because you're in a high dopamine when it comes to clicking these things. You're like, oh, there's this thing that I want to buy, this shoe that I just saw. What do we have to do as consumers to identify some of the red flags when it comes to being in that digital space?
Yeah, that digital space is tempting, to spend money, as you said. You just have to click. A couple of things that we need to be aware of, especially when you're operating online. Be always aware of deals that are too good to be true. Sometimes you may see something that you think of purchasing, and the price on that particular day seems to be so good that you go ahead and click instinctively. But you really need to consider, is this really too good to be true, or is it reality? Do I expect this to be this particular price? Another thing that we need to look for is unsolicited email or unsolicited phone calls or anything that comes to you unsolicited advising of these deals. Right? You didn't ask for it, you didn't look for it, but you are seeing it in your inbox. You should be very wary of that. Another thing that you need to be considerate of is whether this deal, apart from it being too good to be true, whether there's a sense of urgency or someone is forcing you to take this deal now. As a matter of fact, Visa sent out some information recently which suggested that customers fall prey to those victims of or fall prey to those scams that involves customers being tricked into the fact that this deal is a once in a lifetime only, or at this moment only. Click now or else the deal is going to go away. Persons tend to fall for that. So you need to be aware of that urgency. Be also aware of persons who threaten you, right? You may receive messages, you may not click on the link, or you may click and you say later, but the person becomes a little bit more aggressive. Be very wary of that as well, right? So those are just some of the few things that you need to be wary of when you're operating in that online space with respect to making purchases. You also need to check the website, right? I have a mantra which says, no, never trust, always verify. In the past, we used to say trust and then verify. But I think now we reach a space because there's a lot of anonymity, as you said, with the Instagram pages and so on. You don't know who is behind that page. So you really need to not trust what is behind that page, always verify. Look for reviews, look for a physical location, ensure that there are definitely people who have interacted with this particular business and they have some good reviews and they're telling you that they're getting through. And vice versa, you may see some negative experiences as well, and you maybe want to be wary of those particular websites.
That's so true, because personally, I see some Instagram accounts that has, tens of thousands of followers. And then when I go to the actual images and videos on the profile, there's no engagement.
Yeah.
So it's tricky because you think, okay, this is a reputable company because they have so many followers. But when you go into the engagement, it's like, is this real? So it's difficult, especially when you see something that you really want and you really want it now, to be like, is this real? So I want to touch on credit card, in terms of when do we actually put in our information and some of the things that we need to look out for before we do that. Because there are a lot of websites that look real. There are a lot of emails that we receive that look real. But when you actually click on it, is it? So before you answer, Sherwin, we're going to go on a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to ask some difficult questions around credit card usage when it comes to online shopping. So we'll be right back. went on mute there for a second. And welcome back to the live series Straight Off the Bat. Join us on Thursdays as we speak to individuals from multiple industries who will help you understand financial literacy and education. If you're joining us from YouTube like Bob, don't forget to like and follow our page to continue seeing content that will help you manage your money. I'm your host, Pauline Joseph, and today we're discussing how to stay safe in Trinidad and Tobago this Christmas. We're joined by Sherwin Forte. He is the manager of corporate security at Republic Bank Limited. He holds a qualification in security administration and risk management, forensic accounting, fraud risk management, and health and safety. So we are going to tap into this knowledge as we bring him back in, because we want to have a discussion around credit card usage. Now, credit cards, it's something that's a huge responsibility in this world of adulting. And there's, a science behind using it. But outside of managing it with your accounting background, what should we be mindful of and red flags when it comes to putting in our credit card detail information?
Pauline, the first thing that we need to be mindful of is that credit card has a lot of what we call transaction data embedded within it. The account number that you see on the front, the expiry date, and there's a 3-digit value at the back of most credit cards called your card verification value, or CVV. That information needs to be protected. We shouldn't be sharing that information with anyone. We should ensure that information is as secure as possible. In this age of digital transactions, all people need is that information that I just mentioned. And once they have that information, they can put it in online on these websites and make purchases in your name. You need to be mindful as an individual that information needs to be secured. You need to keep your credit cards safe. You need to be ensured to be aware again of your environments. Even when you shop online, type in the websites for yourself. Go into your own browser and do the searches and bring up the websites for yourself. Don't click on any links embedded within any email that you receive, because more often than not, it may direct you to a website that is fictitious. And if you put in your information there, I mean, without saying anything more, without saying much more, I mean, it could be compromised. They could take your data and they can make purchases in your name. And of course, you get the bill at the end of the
day. And within the Christmas conversation, we're talking about using your credit card information, purchasing online. And when you do make that purchase online, a legit company, can you share a little bit about what's happening with delivery scams? Because I've gotten SMS messages as well as email addresses from quote unquote DHL that a delivery is coming, and I'm like, well, I didn't make any purchases. So could you share a little bit more about what we should be mindful of there?
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting that you put it that way, that you didn't make any purchases, because for the most part, what we see is people falling victim to this type of scam and having not made any purchases. But should you get any email or any information like that, of course, you need to verify where is this coming from, right? Don't just say that Santa Claus is blessing me. It's a Christmas season and he's sending me a package. Verify, call the courier company, check the tracking number, especially if you are expecting a package. Ensure that tracking information that you have available is showing that this is the right package, right? You want to be very careful about those things, because that is where the fraudsters tend to manipulate the process in terms of sending a package with the name DHL or some other company branded on it. You need to verify with the company itself, call them, check the number that is available online. Don't take it from anybody. Don't take it from within the body of the email or body of the message that you got, because they will redirect you to their own number.
Can you share some insights, based on your 20 plus years background experience? What is the trigger, or what is people telling themselves to have them want to click it? Is it a case of, well, maybe it's a present? Like, what are we telling ourselves to fall for these scams?
Paul, you mentioned dopamine in one of your remarks, and as human beings, we have the ability to feel, right? And fraudsters prey on this. They prey on our capacity to feel, to have that wide range of emotions. And sometimes when people see these things, it's a deal that is too good to be true. It is something that they are not expecting, but oh my God, who doesn't want a gift? right? And sometimes that dopamine rushes to our heads, and we go ahead and we click on the link because we believe that someone is sending something to us. Again, as I've said, never trust, always verify. I think that is what happens in the psychological space of human beings. We also have this capacity to want things, right? As a human being, we always want more, right? We need to be mindful of that. We need to be careful of that.
Gosh, that sounds like a session for somebody with a PhD. So we will bypass that conversation
Yeah,
and talk
definitely.
about what you can do as a consumer and practical steps in this online payment space. Because you're coming from your background experience in fraud, but you're also working at Republic Bank. So, can you share some practical steps that people can take within the banking experience? Example, utilizing the banking apps and notifications.
Okay, so the bank has invested a lot in ensuring that people have a safe, secure experience in our online products or digital products. If for some reason you suspect that there is fraud, we do have a call center. You should call into the call center, let them know what is happening, ensure that your online profile, your online banking profile or mobile banking profile is stopped, disabled. You should go ahead and change your PINs, whatever usernames and passwords you have for that particular profile if you feel that it has been compromised in some form. But Pauline, at the end of the day, I'll come back to this customer awareness. Customers have a responsibility to remain alert, to remain aware. Check your bank statements, secure your financial data, secure your credit card information, secure your debit card information, right? All of these things, once it gets into the hands of the fraudsters, they are able to use that information to make purchases in your name. So it's really about you protecting that information and being aware, right, of the many different types of protection that the bank has. For example, you asked about the protection in the app. We now have two-factor, well, we always had two-factor authentication, right? In terms of when you put in your username, when you put in your password, a code is sent to your phone. You should always secure that OTP as well. Don't give it away to anyone, especially someone who calls and pretends to be someone from the bank. Right? I've actually heard a story where someone received a phone call and the person on the other end told them that they are working with the fraud department within the financial services sector, and they didn't want the person to call the bank because they're telling them that the bank may be involved in the fraud. Only communicate with them. And they asked them again to give them the username, the password, and when they collect the OTP to pass it on to them as well. And the person fell prey to it. It's really, again, about being aware that these are the types of things that these persons are going to do. They are anonymous. You don't know who is the person on the other line. You don't know who sent you this message. So please never trust these messages. Always verify.
Whoa. That's an interesting perspective on a take on fraud. So can you reiterate, and I've seen this, from the banks when it comes to educating the customers, but I would love you to reiterate things that the banks will never do.
Yes, certainly. You will never see or hear the bank calling you to ask you for your username and your password and all of that information over the phone. Now, I want to balance that by saying that there are some situations, because we do have a 24/7 operation that protects our customers who use their credit cards online. Sometimes our banking personnel may reach out to customers to confirm that they are the ones doing the transaction. Right? That is a safety net that is in place to ensure that you, our valuable customers, aren't defrauded. But we will never ask you for your information. And we will never ask you to give away any of that information that is in your hands. And you have the key to your house, right? You keep that key safe.
I think it goes back to the older version of not giving out your PIN code, and it evolves into even more data because as we grow into this digital age, more information is required. So we all have to be mindful not to just give it away. And in the same context of fraudsters, we can't have this live show without having a conversation about artificial intelligence, because AI is a trending, and it's actually over the last 4 years, especially last year, there's been a massive increase of people searching for AI and ChatGPT. So when it comes to, work efficiency, obviously AI is
Mhm.
helpful, but it's also helpful to fraudsters. So what can we look out for as consumers around this Christmas time in Trinidad and Tobago when it comes to AI and how it will be used to trick customers?
Yeah, Pauline, that's a difficult question to answer because in reality, I myself often can't tell the difference between what is real and what is artificial intelligence, what is a deep fake. Artificial intelligence, as you rightly said, is beneficial to us as human beings. That machine learning helps us to create efficiencies across all businesses in terms of our ability to analyze data more quickly. But fraudsters are also using this in the form of producing synthetic text, synthetic images, synthetic videos, and synthetic voice. So sometimes there's a blurred line between differentiating what is real and what is fake. I mean, the most I can say is be vigilant. Be vigilant. If you're not expecting an email or you're not expecting a phone call and someone calls you purporting to be someone else, pretending to be someone else, especially from a financial institution and asking for information, that should be a red flag. Right? The images are getting better. The fraudsters are getting better at using artificial intelligence. I mean, as I said, there's a very blurred line between what is real and what is fake. I mean, I myself sometimes can't tell the difference. So it's really about you ensuring that you don't give away any information and ensuring that you verify. Contact your bank, call them directly, use the phone. Right? See that old device that we have, use it. Call the bank and verify that the information that you are seeing online or that someone is sending to you is in fact from the bank.
Now we've spoken about fraud in length. Even you Sherwin joined us previously, and we'll put that in the comment section where you can check out a previous conversation we had with Sherwin about fraud. But let's revisit this conversation around vishing and AI. So can you explain what vishing is and how it's going to be used with AI, especially with Christmas? And you kind of have a heightened sense of giving during this time, so maybe that may assist with fraudsters being successful. So what should we be mindful of as to what is vishing, and how it will be used with AI?
Yeah, so vishing is quite similar to phishing and smishing, except that it uses a person's voice. Now, there's a lot of technology or software that is available to these fraudsters where they can literally clone someone's voice. So you have, I'll just give you an example. You may have a conversation with someone. That person happens to be a fraudster. They call you online or they call you and they try to get a recording of your voice, maybe 30 seconds worth, a minute worth of hearing what your voice sounds like, and they're able to use algorithms to reproduce your voice. Right, so that's just one example of what vision works like. In its simplest form, fraudsters contact you pretending to be someone from your financial institution, pretending to be someone who is selling a product from some business. And if you fall prey to that, you may give away your information. You may actually give your credit card information with which you may make purchases, and then they have that information now to go ahead and defraud you. In its more technical form, as I mentioned just now, they can steal your voice and use your voice to make calls to your family members, pretending that you are in some form of distress and demand that they need some help to get you out of this distress. And without you being able to make that phone call to verify that the voice that you heard online is really that of maybe your son, your daughter, or some other relative, you can fall prey or easily fall prey to a scheme like this.
Thank you so much for that. And I'm also mindful, when we are putting all this information online, like my face and my voice, it's easy to pull that information and utilize it. So, guys, if you hear anybody saying that they're me and asking for money, it isn't. Please don't.
And some good advice, some good advice.
Yeah, it's especially when we're in a space of social engineering, which is, we hear people on the radio every day, so we believe that they're our friends. We also see people on TV and Hollywood movies, and there's this connection that exists for us, but not in real life. So we're going to go on a break, and when we come back, I want Sherwin to share a little bit more about this space of social engineering, as well as loans, because we want quick cash now, and what is that going to mean for us? So we'll be right back.
Tired of feeling lost when it comes to your money? Want to make your money work more for you? Then tune in to Straight Off the Bat, brought to you by the Bankers Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Every Monday at 8:30 p.m. on TV6, right after the news. We'll give you practical tools and strategies to help you manage your money wisely, from budgeting basics, debt management, to wealth creation. We'll cover it all. No jargon, just straight talk. Join our host, Pauline Joseph, as she speaks to experts across the industry to empower you to take control of your money. Straight Off the Bat, Mondays at 8:30 p.m. on TV6. Brought to you by the Bankers Association of Trinidad and Tobago.
And welcome back to the live series Straight Off the Bat. Join us on Thursdays as we speak to individuals from multiple industries who will help you understand financial literacy and education. If you join us from LinkedIn, don't forget to like and follow our page to continue seeing content that will help you manage your money. I'm your host, Pauline Joseph, and today we're discussing how to stay safe in Trinidad and Tobago this Christmas. Our guest today is Sherwin Forte. He is joining us from Republic Bank Limited, and he also holds certifications with the internationally renowned Association of Certified Fraud Examiners and ASIS International. So with all those acronyms, we're going to bring him back in and ensure that he shares as much information with us as possible. So before the break, we were discussing about social engineering, and it's a difficult position to be in. It's a difficult, maybe embarrassing discussion to have, but it's necessary, especially in the fraud space. You mentioned it earlier, but just in case anybody missed it, what is social engineering?
To be brief, social engineering is simply the art and science of manipulation. And that is what social engineering is about. It's about those bad actors using the technology that they have available to them to manipulate people into parting with their valuable assets.
Okay, and we're going to get a little bit, none of us have a PhD, but we're just going to get into the psychology of it a little bit. Why would you think, based on your experience in the fraud space, what would be the top reason someone will fall for these social engineering schemes?
Well, Pauline, social engineering has come a long way. Sometimes I'm scared. I mean, when I think about 2026 and going beyond, the level of sophistication that is involved in creating these social engineering schemes, for example, the phishing emails, they appear so legitimate, so real. You really can't tell the difference between an email. I mean, 5-10 years ago, we would have told you to look for spelling errors, look for bad grammar in the construction of an email. That is not the case anymore. The fraudsters are using AI, so they have perfect grammar, no spelling errors. Everything seems absolutely legitimate, right? So that sophistication that is involved in trying to deceive persons, I mean, we really, really, really need to never trust anything and always verify it. I'll keep saying that throughout this morning's discourse, because that really is where, the defense is. These social engineering scams target our customers. As I mentioned earlier on, financial institutions all across Trinidad and Tobago use a lot of technology to keep our online platforms and our data safe. Right? We have cybersecurity professionals. I'm not one, but I work with quite a few cybersecurity professionals in the IT security space, and they are responsible for things like encryption, firewalls, two-factor authentication with all of our products. They're the ones that put that in place. But by and large, these fraudsters work not by targeting the financial institutions. So it's really never a case of the organization being hacked. It more is an organization of the human being being hacked, the human being in this instance being the customers. And they are targets of these fraudsters, and these social engineering schemes are so lifelike, so real. We mentioned just now about the phishing, we mentioned deep fake. Sometimes you may be speaking with someone, and you mentioned your image is all over Facebook, social media, my image as well. My voice is out there as well. So you may actually see an image of someone in the uniform of a financial institution. You may hear them speaking, you may see them, you may see movements, but of course, there are some key things that you can listen for. For example, the voice does sound a little bit automated, right? So that's something that you need to be very careful about. Listen for the speech, listen and look for if the person is breathing, if the eyes are moving, right? Because it could be just an image that is there and the voice is going along with it. So you really need to look at that particular image, that deep fake, whether it's a video or whether it's just a voice you're hearing. You need to really listen for that. You know what they call the AI voice, right? I think Denzel Washington has on many occasions said that he does not appear in any of these videos and does not promote any of these videos, yet his image is out there, and with a lot of good, valuable information, but a lot of people are duped.
It's interesting you say that, because I always say that I have a little bit of facial diarrhea. So my it's very hard for me to cover my emotions. So guys, if that AI is out there and you're not seeing a rolling of the eyes, it's not me. Just want you to know. So I want to get in a little bit of a sticky subject here, especially when we are on the said social media. Last time I checked the data, Trinidad and Tobago has over 60% penetration of users of the actual island on Facebook, right? And social media is important, especially for small businesses. It's super important for a lot of people to connect with friends and family outside of the country as well. But what role does social media play in this social engineering space?
So, Pauline, as you have rightly identified, social media is now important for businesses, right? As you mentioned, there's 60% penetration in terms of Facebook. I would imagine the same for Instagram and TikTok. A lot of people are using these social media platforms to promote their businesses. The thing about it is that fraudsters can also use these social media platforms because it provides them with anonymity. You don't know who is behind the platform. You don't know who is on the other side. And when they create platforms that look exactly like or replicate a platform that looks exactly like a business platform, sometimes people can fall prey to this. So again, it's about awareness. It's about you verifying before you do anything online. But just the fact that businesses are depending on social media to promote their businesses, fraudsters are aware of this, especially in this time of the year where we have a lot of sales in terms of Black Friday sales, Cyber Monday sales, Christmas sales. You need to be very conscious, very aware that these things will be coming at you.
And I think we can't have the Christmas conversation without having a conversation around loans. So in case, folks may not have been here at the start of the live show, we were discussing some of the top trends we're seeing with scams, and loans would be one of them. So first and foremost, what is, one of the most common ways people are attracting in this fraud space for loans, and why do we fall for it, especially when we are trying to, balance a lot of things, but at the same time, it's like, I need to buy all these presents. So give us some insight in this loan scam space.
Yeah. So traditionally, at this time of the year, most financial institutions, we compete. We compete because this is a time of the year, as you rightly indicated, people want finances available to them to make all of the purchases that they have to make. But unfortunately, fraudsters have capitalized on this. So sometimes they may replicate one of the financial institutions' logos, or sometimes in some cases, they replicate all of the logos and put it up on a website and send it out as a blast to customers. And that's why it's called phishing. It's like they literally throw their net. And some people fall prey to it because they see, I have the logo here. They see that logo. They see another financial institution's logo, maybe Scotiabank, First Citizens, RBC. They see that logo. And of course, it adds some legitimacy to what they are seeing online. And once they see that, they become comfortable and they drop their guards. Right? But again, after listening to me this morning, I really don't want you to trust anything at all. Verify. Call the bank. Call someone that you know who works at the bank, right? A close friend of yours or family member, and ask them, is the bank having a loan sale online, or should I go in and talk to the sales representative or the loans officer, as the case may be, which more often than not, we should be doing that. I mean, I know that one of the things that is coming into the near future, 2026 and beyond, there will be the possibility of applying for loans online if it is not happening already. But again, we should be very, very careful. We should be very mindful that we are in fact dealing with the legitimate organization.
Yes, it's interesting because as consumers, we want the convenience, right? So we want to not have to jump in our car and sit down in our hour and a half traffic to get that loan. But at the same time, we have to manage this digital space. And I can confirm, Sharon, that I have applied and successfully gotten a loan from a bank's mobile app. So it is possible, but it was all done through the mobile app, as well as I had someone who I was speaking to on the phone who I've been with the last, 5+ years for the bank. So it's a combination of these things that we now have to have this extra step as consumers to be mindful of, because as consumers, we have been complaining, Sherwin. We have been complaining. So it is a balance, a precarious one that we have to look at. And talking about this loan conversation, I want to head over to 2026, which is almost there. Christmas usually is a time for us to be like, happy holidays, happy new year. So a lot of us will be doing goal setting. And we want plans to save for a house, to save for college, to save for these things. So we may be in a prime time to fall scam for investments. So what should we be mindful of in that space as we are planning to be better financial individuals in this space?
Pauline, the same advice goes. I mean, all of these fraud schemes, all of these fraud scams have one thing in common: deception. They're a lie, right? And we need to be vigilant to ensure that what we are seeing is real, as opposed to someone trying to scam us. So again, it boils down to our vigilance. Yes, I understand that people want to be available or have finances available to them, or to have some level of financial independence, or to have the finances readily available to them to achieve whatever goals they want to achieve. But it doesn't happen overnight, right? It's a long process, right? It requires diligence and knowing where to make the right investments and so on. And you should speak with one of the financial services representatives of any one of the financial institutions under the governing body of BATT. I mean, speak with them if you want to make those types of investments. What happens invariably online and in that online space is that there are a lot of investment opportunities that pop up, promising people that they can get exorbitant returns. So they may tell you that invest $5,000 and you'll get $50,000 in 24 hours. Come on, that is too good to be true. That is unrealistic. Yet people fall prey to it because, of course, we are chasing that dream of having those finances readily available to us to achieve our goals. But please always be mindful about business realities. Investment is a slow process, right? It involves a lot of suave. It involves you knowing what are the things that you should invest your money in and so on, right? It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in 48 hours nor 24 hours. So anytime you see these messages, even though it might be legitimized by having a Republic Bank logo or Scotiabank logo attached to it, again, never trust, always verify.
Wow, that $50,000 return is just, it's movie-like, you're seeing these things and it feels too good to be true, even you saying it out loud. But I think that's also why fitness industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, when people could say, I can just take this pill and lose all this weight. But the reality is it takes time and effort. It's the same
concept.
Exactly. So these are all reminders, everyone. It's not just a quick for cash run and go with it. All these things take responsibility. So we're going to go on a break, and when we come back, we want to answer the question: if someone believes that they've clicked on a suspicious link, what do we do next? Because we are all human, we all make mistakes. So we want to learn from Sherwin, what do we do next? So we'll be right back. and welcome back to the live series Straight Off the Bat. Join us on Thursdays as we speak to individuals from multiple industries who will help you understand financial literacy and education. If you'd like to know, you're joining us on Facebook. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like and follow our page to continue seeing content that will help you manage your money. I'm your host, Pauline Joseph, and today we're discussing how to stay safe in Trinidad and Tobago this Christmas. Our guest today is Sherwin Forte. He's joining us from Republic Bank Limited, and he is a former fraud squad detective and has conducted numerous fraud investigations in Trinidad and Tobago. And we want to bring him back in because there's so much to learn and not enough time to do so. So I just want to shout out to Sanil Sepasad. I hope that I'm pronouncing your name correctly. He is joining us from Facebook, and he said, great effort to highlight the prevalence of fraud at this time of year and using the online platform. So thank you so much for joining us today, Sanil. All right. So just before the break, we were discussing, we're all human and things happen. So we want to know, Sherwin, if someone believes that they've clicked on a suspicious link, and may have shared some sensitive data, what should we do immediately after, and how will the bank support us?
So, Pauline, once someone believes that they have clicked a suspicious link, the first thing that they should do is contact their bank through the official call centers or customer service centers. Identify what the situation is and have that account frozen or blocked as the case may be. The next thing that they should be doing is trying to change all of their PINs and passwords, etc., so that no one has access to the information that they are using for their online purchases, digital purchases. And third and most important, they should report the incident to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, whether that is through the regular station district police or the fraud squad. And they have already reported it to the bank. They should ensure that both organizations work hand in hand to try to resolve the issue. But speed is important. Don't wait. As soon as you're suspicious or you're aware that you may have clicked on a link, let us know early. The earlier we know, the faster we are able to respond to save your finances from leaving the financial system.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Sherwin. And shout out to David. Thanks again for joining us today from YouTube. So with Christmas, there will be a height of people being distracted. You can also, you can let me know, there might be a height of people getting their phones stolen because our phones are now, basically an extension of our hands. So just going to share some insight based on a site called Stat Counter that Trinidad has a little close to 70% Android users. Obviously, because Android is a little bit, less expensive than Apple. But when it comes to, obviously, we're in the space of we're downloading apps, having sensitive information. I check my balances on my bank information. What do we do if our phones are stolen?
Again, Pauline, we follow the same process. Most phones, whether it's Android or Apple, they have tracking systems that can be triggered. So I do hope that people install that app or activate the app, I should say, to find my device. They should make reports to the financial institutions and, of course, make reports to the police service if their phone is lost. Another thing that I'll advise people to do, this doesn't have anything to do with the phone being stolen, but just the security of the phone itself. Whenever there is a software update that provides enhanced features on one hand, but advanced security features on the other hand, we should update immediately to ensure that our phones remain secure. I myself have fallen guilty to this, not clicking, always suggesting later, I'll update later. But we should keep our phones secure, which is, proper cyber hygiene in terms of ensuring that that device is up to date with the latest security measures or security apps.
Such a good point when it comes to updates. We would be remiss if we don't also include the password conversation, because the phone itself, it's such it's robust, with all these different features. that most of us don't even use. I recently updated one of my Android phone, and it has a feature now that I only realized because I was playing around with the settings, that it has a theft feature. So if it feels as though someone ran away with your phone, it actually shuts down. So when it comes to activation of these platforms and activation of the security, I guess, hindrances, what are the top three things we need to do? Because the reality is, it is a device, but it's part of our life, you know. So what should we do?
Well, we should have password protection. We should have strong passwords, right? Not weak passwords. And importantly, we shouldn't use those passwords across multiple devices or multiple platforms, right? Because if a fraudster gets into your phone and you have one password for everything, then of course it's feeding time for them. So you want to ensure that you have strong passwords. You want to ensure that you ensure that your phone has two-factor authentication in it to get onto any app that is available on your phone. And of course, as I mentioned previously, you want to ensure that you keep updated with all the latest apps and security features and whatever technology is available for you on your phone.
So you also mentioned something earlier that I think we need to share a little bit more insight on, which is cyber hygiene. And we have so many accounts with different websites, and we see things like, oh well, this thing just got released, they got hacked into. Can you share with us what is cyber hygiene and what we need to be mindful of in this space?
Yeah, cyber hygiene, as the name implies, is really about keeping your devices safe, secure, ensuring that you use proper passwords. We have a thought process here that you should use strong passwords. You should be able to ensure that your phones or devices are updated to provide you from. So it's about password management. It's about keeping your devices updated and secure. It's also about your ability to spot phishing, to spot fictitious emails, etc. Right. So those are the types of things that you want to do to keep yourself, clean in that cyber environment and safe from fraudsters who are constantly attacking us.
So I also want to talk about in the cyber hygiene space. We would give our email address as a way to get that OTP, that one-time password. Why is it important for us to ensure that our email address password is strong? And what are some of the incidents that happen if it's not strong, especially when your information has been leaked?
Again, your password is your key. It's like the key to your house. And that perhaps should send shivers up everybody's spine. Because as I mentioned, most of the fraud now is customer targeted. Fraudsters, yes, I am certain that they will try to hack into organizations, but most organizations are getting better in that cyberspace environment. And as I said, that is for my colleagues. My colleagues are the cybersecurity experts. But I'll use the analogy nonetheless. It's the key to your front door. That email is the key to your front door. Once they get into your email, they can get access to anything else because everything else is shared there. They can do a contact sweep, get in contact with all of the persons with whom you are in contact on a regular basis. They can now send them phishing messages, pretending to be you, of course, because they've taken control of your email. So that is one reason, one legitimate reason, the major reason why we should keep that password safe, and we should ensure that it is as difficult as possible. I have heard a school of thought that says that once your password is a word and a random number, there are algorithms that are available to pick that. So we should be using alphanumeric combinations. Again, this is in the cybersecurity space, the IT professional space. But you should really be using alphanumeric combinations, a word, a number, a special characteristic, etc. Make it as difficult as possible. And again, we mentioned it just now, some persons use the same password for convenience because it's easier for them to remember one password as opposed to a plethora of passwords. They use one password across multiple platforms. Again, I would advise against that. As difficult as it may be, try to invest in a password manager so that you can manage your various passwords for your various online platforms so that if a fraudster by chance gets into one, he doesn't get into all of your multiple platforms.
Such important information, and you spoke about making it difficult, and I think that's such an important part for us to keep reiterating. So, can you share? And I'm not sure if it's your space, so let me know. Can you share what is biometrics and why it's important?
Well, of course, it's not my space from a cybersecurity perspective. We do have cybersecurity professionals at Republic Bank and all the other financial institutions who can talk about that. But from a physical security perspective, biometrics is using what we call what is you, right? Your fingerprints, your eye scan, your palm print, etc. And it's basically used in environments where there's a lot of sensitive information. So, for instance, from a physical security perspective, you may find that you can get into, let's say, a bank through the front door. You walk in, right? There is no security requirement. But if you go to the data center or where a lot of information is held, we tend to use a lot more security, and the security there tends to be biometric in nature. So it recognizes only you as the person who has access to that, meaning your thumbprint, your handprint, your fingerprint, your retina in your eyes. So that type of information is referred to as biometrics. It's about your biology, your body makeup, and we use information that is intrinsic to you, especially when accessing high security or sensitive information.
All right, so we're going to close off with this final question. We're going to tap into your 20 years of experience, Sherwin. From your perspective, what is the most common mistake that we consumers make when it comes to being exposed to fraud, and what can we do to avoid that mistake?
Yeah, thanks, Pauline. I think the most common mistake that people make is a combination of things. They share their PINs, they share their OTPs with other parties, they share their card and give away the information. So my advice would be to not share that. We click on links, as we mentioned throughout our discourse this morning. We click on links without verifying. Again, never trust, verify, don't click on links, don't give away your information. Someone calls you on the phone, please verify that it is legitimately the bank that is calling, or hang up the call and let them know that you are going to call the bank, and you call the bank and you verify that that call was in fact a legitimate one. I don't think that anybody on the other end who is understanding what is happening in today's world, especially if it's a representative from a financial institution, will be bothered by that, level of paranoia, right? I call it polite paranoia. We need to be paranoid about our information. Don't give it away to anyone. Never trust anyone who is asking you for any information on the phone. Never share your PINs, never share your passwords, never share your OTPs, because we have seen in the past couple of months that fraudsters using phishing, social engineering technology or schemes, have called persons, and persons have given away that information in that telephone conversation. Another thing that consumers tend to do is use weak passwords, right? We mentioned that just now. Try as best as possible to use what I refer to as a passphrase, right? So it's no longer one singular word, but try to use a phrase. One suggestion from cybersecurity experts is to use maybe one of the phrases or the chorus from one of your favorite songs. So it may be a bit lengthy, but you alone know that, and you really shouldn't be sharing that with anyone.
Thank you so much, Sherwin. And on that note, we want to say thanks again to Sherwin Forte for joining us today and sharing insight into holiday scams exposed, how to stay safe in Trinidad and Tobago this Christmas. Don't forget to sign up to be notified on our next live show via the comments. It's either there or there, depending on where you're watching this on social media. As always, be sure to like and follow our pages across social media so you don't miss a single live show. And thank you so much for joining us in 2020-25. We're going to go through a whole era situation in January of putting 2025 when it's supposed to be 2026, but that's okay. Happy holidays to you and your family and all the best. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.